love to talk.
So they made a podcast.
And that's why we're here. To listen in. And what's it called? It's called Banter Buddies.
Welcome to episode 51 of Banter Buddies, the show that decided to go away for a little while and then come on back. And I'm joined, of course, by my co-host and bandmate. It is Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Neil. I'm
Hi.
your co-host. I'm here. We're back. Hey, we told people that we did 50 episodes, and we said that was season 1. Mm-hmm. And then people were like, are you ever going to come back? And we said we would. And this is us paying due on our promise, right?
Yeah, we said it, and sure enough, here we are. So, just need a little pause, a little time to do some other things. And but we always thought that we'd come back with more Banter Buddies, more bantering, more buddy action, and we're
more
back to
buddy
do it.
action.
Yeah. So I think we're going to do a little stretch of episodes here for the next few months, and get the fun back in. We got to get back to the fun of Banter Buddies.
Should we tell the folks our plan? Can we just tell them our plan off the bat?
Absolutely. What's the plan, Brian? What's the plan for Banter Buddies?
The plan to bring this back, we're going to do a season 2. We need to make it, we like doing the pod, but we have to make it more like digestible that we're doing in between touring and stuff like that. So we're going to do 10 episodes this fall bi-weekly. So I think that will take us into January, right?
That's right.
Past the holidays.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna say goodbye to Banter Buddies season 2. Then next September, boom, firing it back up for another 10 episodes. So we know that there will be a 3. Isn't that nice? Don't you think that'll be nice?
I think so. I think it's nice to know that it's coming back at some point, and give people a little break and give other people time to get in here and catch up. And it's a good time. We like doing it. It just can be a lot, and but we're ready to go. We're
ready to go. I can't believe I described something as nice. I feel like my wife always says, like, "Oh, isn't that just nice?" And I'm like, "That's not a descriptor word. Don't you dare say that."
Yeah, I get it though. It's sometimes things are just nice. It's okay to say simple words like "nice, y'all."
Aren't you excited? That's another one that like burns my britches.
Aren't
you excited? I don't know yet. I don't think I'm excited about anything.
But yeah, well, we're excited for this nice show of Banter Buddies. It's episode 51. We're getting back into it, and we're off and running. Brian, should we get into our topic this week, or should we?
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing before we fire this back up. In our absence between the original 50 Banter Buddy episodes, I feel like we've heard from the superfans at live shows or maybe on the internet through emails or DMs, just saying the things they like about it as we like contextualize this, and they say they like the length. They say sometimes people have said, I don't even want the calls. I just want you two to rant. I want Neil. Here's what I've heard. Here's what we've heard from Susie from Toronto, saying that like Neil is the anchor of the show. He's the calming, warm, wonderful radio voice thing.
Wow.
And then Brian, me, pings around. So I'm either like manic or like really low, and you always are like pulling me back in to like render the ship forward.
I know, and that's all just like none of that stuff is like determined. It's just like just 50 episodes of doing it. You just like figure it out as you go. So it's just our natural way.
And we just can't not talk this long. That's why 8-hour road trips are perfect. Okay.
That is a good point, Brian. That it has been nice, even though like we knew a lot of the folks that have called in, like our friend BJ has been coming to shows for a long time, but like a bunch of other people, this is how we got to know you. And then since we stopped doing the show, we took a little break. Like it's been cool to like see people in person come to the shows and get to meet them and stuff. So shout out to everybody who not just calls in, but then also follows up by coming to the show. That's cool.
It's beautiful. Okay, now I'm ready. Now
it's time to get into this week's topic.
When do we play the theme song?
And listen, if this is maybe you just stumbled onto this show and you don't even know what's going on, it's a call-in show, y'all. So we'll give you a prompt, and then you have about a week to call in and leave a voicemail with us. And we're going to play a bunch of those voicemails today. But the prompt of this week was, who is your favorite Muppet and why? Brian and I really are huge just Henson fans in general. But, of course, the Muppets are some of the best of the Jim Henson characters.
Neil, you know what's so awesome about all the callers that came in is that we had kind of sunsetted Banter Buddies because around episode 50 we kept having to ask people, hey, could you please call in? We need 7 callers. Hey, I'm begging you, could you call in? And then, so we didn't know what the response is about bringing Banter Buddies back, and we had all the old faithfuls call in, plus so many more. So if you didn't hear your voicemail this time, just keep calling it. Just keep calling it. You're doing a great job. You're doing wonderful. It probably is that we lost it in our Google Drive.
Yeah, and we'll always get every call into the show. If you don't hear your call in this segment, check it out. It'll be at the end of the episode. That goes for today and just for in the future as well. So please call in, and it's for all ages. As with everything with our band, if you're a kid, you're in. If you're an adult, you're in. So let's go for that. But Brian, I think we should probably start this off by talking about our opinions on this subject, and then we'll get into some of our callers. I think that's the way we normally do this. I don't know. It's been a while since we've done this. This is normally how we do it, right?
I know. I had to forget what cord I needed for this microphone.
Yeah. Setup wise, we're getting back in the swing of things, and format wise. So yeah, our favorite Muppets, and then we'll get into some other people, and then that also spurs on the conversation about some of these other Muppets and why we love them, because they're all pretty wonderful. It's very hard to pick. I couldn't just pick one, but I did pick one that's my top favorite, and then I have runners up that are very close. So I don't know. I don't think we'll have the same answer for this, and I've always had trouble with this because I get asked this a lot. Being here in LA, I've been able to go to some puppet shows and kind of get into meet some other puppet fans. So it's also obviously owned by Disney, so I go to the Disney parks a lot, and there's a lot of Muppet stuff. So the topic comes up pretty often. So but I gotta say, Brian, my favorite Muppet is Gonzo. He is just so delightfully strange in so many ways, but is also very heartwarming. He's always there for you when you need him. Gonzo. He might have a strange way of getting to that, but Gonzo at the end of the day is kind of a rock, and he's just a core part of the gang. That's the other hard part, is there's so many Muppets that you can really get granular of oh, there was this one Muppet in this one show or whatever. So there's a lot. So I tried to also weight a little bit higher some of the more one of the core Muppets as my absolute favorites. Not that that's a prerequisite, but they just have the most screen time and we know the most about them. So I got to go with Gonzo, of course, performed and voiced by Dave Goelz, and who's still with us. And Gonzo, he's one of my faves. Brian, how do you feel about Gonzo?
What else does Dave do?
Oh, good question. I know he mostly is Gonzo. That's his main. Where there is a couple other performers, who kind of jump around and they do a lot of different Muppets.
Yeah, Frank Oz does so many. Usually it's the elite ones do 5, the 5 top ones you've seen.
Yeah, it says I'm on his Wikipedia. Best known for performing the characters Gonzo, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, Zoot. Zoot is in the band. He's in the
yep.
What's the name?
Dr.
of the band?
Teeth.
Yeah, the Dr. Teeth band, and Bogard. I don't know Bogard.
I don't know that one either.
Bogard. So yeah, just a few characters there for good old Dave. But
okay, yeah. Gonzo's so lovable, yet Gonzo is kind of like the second tier Kermit almost.
Yep.
And because he's not the flagship, that's what. And because I think Rolf used to be the flagship. Right?
Yep.
And Gonzo, I think he's just so lovable. I think bad stuff happens to him, but he doesn't really care. It doesn't get him down. He's never down in the dumps. He always quits. Right? What I mean? But he doesn't
yep.
But Rizzo's always there to yell at him or call him names or something to get him back into the game.
Yeah, Gonzo's pretty emotional. Like he has these highs and lows, and yeah, sometimes he gets upset and leaves, but he'll come back around eventually. So yeah, that's definitely a part of Gonzo. He's kind of intense. He's kind of yelling a lot. He's pretty out there. He's got some harebrained ideas that sometimes get him in trouble. Get him banished, give him some side eye or whatever. What's Gonzo doing over there? Also, another thing I love about Gonzo is his relationship with Camilla, the chicken. Yeah, he has like a chicken girlfriend, and
almost like sister kind of friend.
It is
right?
They know each other well, Gonzo and Camilla. So I mean that just adds to the strangeness of Gonzo, and he's hanging out with chickens. Yeah, he's Camilla the chicken. You know Camilla the chicken. You got
okay. I'm gonna say it two different angles to Gonzo. I feel like if Gonzo was a live action like TV character, he would be probably Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? But then at the same point, I feel like Gonzo has like the most notes on the scale. Like it's there. I think Gonzo's probably they them. And Gonzo probably has like the most notes from being like angry to scared to worried to elated to like sad to happy. Whereas like Miss Piggy really is coming in on 2 notes. Animal has 1 note. You know what I mean? Like Big Bird has 1.5 notes. I know Big Bird doesn't count, but Kermit has a range too, right? But Kermit's more of like the dad range, right? Gets mad but doesn't let it out. Whereas Gonzo's like the kid range, and like Gonzo just lets it all hang out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he's very you're right. He's got again just that range of Gonzo. You never know what you're going to get, other than a lot of intensity, and he's really into like doing stunts. And
the stunts.
Yeah, he's kind of he's like the evil Knievel of the Muppets. He's like riding a motorbike, trying to do a big jump or something. And I just like too that he's just sort of, a lot of the other Muppets are animals or people, or you can understand what they are. And I think like one of the jokes about Gonzo is like nobody knows what Gonzo is. Like, is he an alien or what? Like, we don't really know. There's no other, to my knowledge, like creatures that look like Gonzo in the Muppet universe. So he's really singularly unique in that kind of way too, which is why one of the other reasons I like Gonzo so much. But yeah, Gonzo's dope.
The legend.
And before we talk about some of our runners up, Brian, why don't you let us know, let the people know who's your number one, who's the Muppet that you thought of immediately when you read this.
I've had a character, Neil. I've had a character for 2 weeks while we've been prepping this return of Banter Buddies.
Yes.
In the 4-minute sound check of our mics before we pressed record, you told me that Muppets are only on the Muppet Show and not Jim Henson Universe, and so my pick was going to be Gonger, a new B-side side character that I love. I even bought is this pink little fluffy, maybe like Scottish person-ish, and does a cooking show called Monster Foodie Truck with Cookie Monster. But now that you said that, can I go the second thing on my tier?
Yeah, because that's something we'll talk about more, because there's a lot of people who called in with what we will consider non-Muppets. Because
according to Jim or according to who?
It's a little fuzzy, pardon the pun here, but the Muppets officially kind of split off from were considered something different starting in 2001. This is from the Wikipedia. For the full rights of Muppets created for Sesame Street have been owned by Sesame Workshop. So it says Sesame continues to license the trademark term Muppet from the Muppet studios for their characters. So especially
our Muppets,
especially in modern times, they're kind of like separate. But if you think way back, so yeah, it's not like you're wrong, but I do want to draw a line between what is kind of more of just because it speaks to the brilliance of Jim Henson. Is like all these characters are so amazing and they feel sort of a piece in a lot of ways. But just to kind of say that there is a difference between Muppets and sort of the rest of the Jim Henson worlds. We have multiple calls that reference different things that technically aren't Muppets but are Jim Henson, and and they have that magic and they have that joy and so much of the shared DNA, even though it's just really a technicality and a little behind the scenes. It's just a good way to group these calls together. So we have some calls at the end of our grouping here that go beyond the Muppets and list some Sesame Street. Yeah.
Okay, so I got my Muppets because I had my this is my favorite from the Muppet Show, because it's funny. There's shows or stuff that you've watched over time where you have a character that you dislike, like I don't like this person, or this person came in or Marvel is a new villain. I don't like this. There isn't a character within the Muppet Show that I dislike that I'm like fast forward whenever this person comes on.
Yeah.
So the character that makes me laugh the most is Sam Eagle.
Yes.
Especially, I remember as a kid, the Disney World. Is it in Epcot or MGM? Where's the Muppet 3D thing?
It's at Hollywood Studios. Yeah, MGM.
Hollywood Studios. Yeah. And I just took my kids there in January, and we went and saw the Muppet 3D. And they knew a couple of the Muppets. They were like pointing them out to me, which made me proud. But Sam, and I always thought it was Sam the Eagle, but Sam Eagle. Sam Eagle is the funniest character in that show.
Yeah.
Hands down, has the best nonchalant one-liners, right? And comes in, isn't totally aloof, is a little bit like, what's happening?
Yes.
But a little bit totally with it and still being funny. So Sam Eagle is that's what's getting put up the flagpole right now.
Oh, Sam Eagle's amazing. Yeah, he has one of the biggest laugh lines of Muppet Vision 3D when he announces that he has a glorious 3-hour patriotic finale, and then Kermit says, "You got 90 seconds," and he goes, he just has this amazing gasp, and it's just so funny because he's so serious. He has the brows, the eyebrows, the very serious eyebrows going on. Sam Eagle, performed by Frank Oz. And it's also just funny how they kind of lampoon his extreme patriotism, right? That's his thing, obviously, as Sam Eagle, and that's what he's always about, and that's why he's so serious. And so I think that's kind of funny, is he kind of gets he's so singularly focused on patriotism that sometimes he gets kind
and
of put
he
aside.
rolls with all the Muppet punches. He isn't wah wah guys. This is the right way to go. Every time a harebrained thing comes up, he always rolls with it, goes oh, okay, yeah, sure, but is always there. It's interesting. It's an interesting, it's a great character analysis, and Sam Eagle is just rocking.
Yeah, and he's always so serious and kind of his deep voice is a big part of it. But then the rest of the Muppets are so frazzled and silly and ridiculous that's where the humor comes from. Is he's kind of this almost statuesque you can't break me kind of guy, and the Muppets are it's hard for those two things clash, I guess. The Sam Eagle vibe and then the Muppets style, they don't really go together that well, and that creates the comedy. So
if you think about any movie where it has a group of people, right, from any Disney's sports movies or any Ocean's 11 heist, any type of grouping, there's always a person in there that kind of has their crap together a little bit, and you always think how did you get caught? Think about Gone in 60 Seconds, right?
Yeah.
The person that you were there's a couple characters in there that you're wait, why are you going back with this crew? You have it going on, right? But then it's they just like to be with the crew. And I feel like Sam Eagle is one of those people, right? They could be fine on their own, but they just like the party. They like the nonsense that happens all the time. And I'm with you. I like that too, right? I'm with you, and I think are like that. We could go have normal jobs and be fine, but that'd be boring, right? That'd be lame. So let's go do something weird.
Yeah, that's part of the beauty of the Muppets, is they're quite a strange crew. They would not normally be together because they're from all over the place. They're all sorts of different species and ideas and stuff, but yet somehow they all come together and make it work. Other honorable mention favorites for me, and then what they have in common is that they don't speak English or any sort of understandable language, and that is
we going
Beaker.
Swedish Chef
and Beaker are the two that I also really like. And I just realized both of them don't speak English. They just kind of make sounds and nonsense. But Swedish Chef is super, super funny. I love his voice. I love his look. And Beaker, he's a package deal with Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, of course. And that's part of the joy, is that Bunsen is very well spoken and has everything together for the most most part, and Beaker always comes in and messes it up. So yeah, those are two others that I really love and like to think about, and really always make me laugh. Kind of in the way you talked about Sam Eagle, just like every time he's on screen, he's making me laugh.
Every time we're batting 100, we're just going hard.
Did you have any others you wanted to shout out besides Gonger from the Sesame Crew?
Gonzo? It's funny. The 3 G's. It's going to be Gonger, Gonzo, and Grover. Right?
Oh yeah, Grover.
And especially Super Grover. But no, I think you and I reference, and I can never remember their names, so I wrote it down. But
Yes.
you and I reference Statler and Waldorf all the time.
So good.
Like we think about our show in the sense of like, if Statler and Waldorf were watching, what would they say? Like, I think we think about our live show kind of like that. Our personalities, like we would want them to heckle us because that means that you're killing it, right? Fozzie is always at his best when Statler and Waldorf despise him the most. So
yeah,
it's a good barometer. You put them up there, right? Aren't they in your top 5 too?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about them too. It's they're way up there for me, and so funny in Muppet Vision, and yeah, they always, I don't know. It's part of the reason I love the Muppets is, in general, is the like self-awareness and the showbiz humor, and those guys always bring it. Up in the little box, they're up there, having their little conversation. Statler and Waldorf, they're bringing in the self-awareness of being like, oh, this is kind of crappy, or like, you guys are bad, or just like, I'm, what's going on? And so, I don't know, it's just funny to have like a show that also like has its own critics within it, so if it's not one of the Muppet characters being self-referential or, sort of saying how bad they are, they leave it up to Statler and Waldorf to kind of take the air out of the balloon a little bit and be like, just to understand this is all very absurd and not to be taken seriously. We literally have our critics like saying maybe what you're thinking like on screen. So it's
they are DVD director commentary extras before that was a thing.
Yeah. So they really round out the Muppet humor just perfectly, because it goes beyond the characters and into sort of the commentary or the critics. So it's kind of more of a commentary on critics and criticism of art and stuff. So so many great reasons to love the Muppets. They're so great. I've always loved parody stuff. I realized that when I was thinking about that today. I've always loved parody music. That's kind of why we make comedy songs. Is I've always loved Weird Al and Flight of the Conchords and different stuff that was like songs that made me laugh, and Muppets are right up in there too, just like parodying the entertainment business, parodying vaudeville and whatever it is they're doing, even in the modern times, parodying social media and things like that, and reality TV. So I that's kind of at the core of what I like about the Muppets, is that they never take anything seriously, and everything is sort of like looking inward at itself, and I really like that about the Muppets.
Can we do a couple more on the list? Maybe one more?
Yeah, what you got?
I sent you that TikTok of Frank Oz, who
good.
is does
Disney
Miss
legend.
Piggy,
Yeah.
does Grover, does Yoda, and
That's Sam Eagle, your boy.
does Sam Eagle, saying what his favorites were, and said Rizzo is his favorite. and I didn't ever watch the Muppet Show growing up, but I did watch the movies. And Muppet Treasure Island was my jam, and Rizzo really like carries that. Rizzo carries that movie. It's not a Kermit movie; it's a Gonzo and Rizzo, and so like you kind of need the yin and the yang. You need the yin and the yang of both. So
it's funny how it's just like such a tiny, literally a tiny character too. I love that such a small character can carry a whole film like that.
It just basically is like a little like popsicle stick, right, with a mouth flap.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I want. I know these calls are going to carve out some more stuff, so we should get to it.
We'll get more into it as we hear from our callers, and we're going to hear a number of callers, because we're going to start off with the number one choice. We had two people talk about this one Muppet. Who could it be? Let's talk to our first caller.
Hello, guys. It's me, Annabelle, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The legend's back here again. My favorite Muppets are Kermit and Fozzie. Because I like Kermit because I love frogs, and I like Fozzie because he just goes waka waka to anything that's not even funny. Okay, bye. Hi, Cougar Kangaroo. My name is Alex, and I live in Las Vegas. I love singing shows at the library. My favorite Muppet is Fozzie Bear because His humor always brings a smile to my face, even when they don't land. Thank you.
Hi. Hi. This is Miss Christina.
And Bobby.
We are from Michigan. We are preschool teachers, and we are calling in about our favorite Muppet.
My favorite Muppet is Fonzie because he tells really bad jokes. Waka waka.
And mine, I cannot pick between two because they represent me really well, as Animal and Gonzo, because they represent my crazy side and my klutzy side, and I love them. And it's very hard to pick just one Muppet. But we do want to have a shout-out to Snuffleupagus, too, because we both love them as well.
An honorable mention for Snuffleupagus.
Yeah. But we love you guys. Hope you guys have a great time, so we'll talk to you later. Bye!
All right, shout out to Annabelle, Alex, Miss Christina, and Bobby. They're fans of the bear, Brian.
Fans of the bear and beyond.
I'm kind of surprised by the Fozzie love. You know, I feel like he, even though he's one of the core members, one of the OG Muppets, I feel like he doesn't typically get as much love as some of the others, but not amongst our listeners. They love Fozzie Bear.
It's a sense of like he's a cuddly bear, right?
Yes.
Also does like there's like self-deprecating humor, but doesn't like fully know it, right? And so it's like you like paint him as this like bumbling, cute friend, you know, that kind of has it together enough to like be with the crew, but doesn't have enough together to like be on their own or like be the leader or anything like that. So it's like almost like you see him, and for a style of person, maybe like an empath or something, you're like immediately want to just be like, oh, you're trying so hard, but you're like kind of landing a little left to center. I just want to like take you under my wing. You know what I mean? So I think there's like some endearment to it. Whereas like, Kermit gets frustrated, you know, Miss Piggy gets frustrated, other people get frustrated, but you know that they're like, you know that they could find more people out there. But Fozzie, he really is like, you really just want to like take care of him. Would you say that's like the endearing quality of Fozzie?
Absolutely. It's such a like, oh, he's trying so hard, right? It's like he's doing his best out here. And I think there's also a big draw to the perseverance of Fozzie. I guess you could say that about a lot of Muppets, because a lot of things usually go wrong, right? They're trying so hard that they almost like hold on too tightly and things like break apart. And Fozzie Bear, he's never deterred, you know, maybe briefly, but he's always going to come back, and there's going to be a pie in the face, and he's always going to go back to, you know, his kind of corny old school vaudeville, you know, a lot of like what I would just call like gags, you know, like the pie or like the flour that has like the water in it gets squirted in the face, like all these like simple like kind of like lame jokes, but he just thinks they're the best, and he's not going to let you know, other people like change who he is or what he finds funny or his sense of humor. So I think like the perseverance of Fozzie goes a long way too for people.
I think they always have in some shows they always have like Fozzie like a joke not landing, and he goes into an existential crisis, right? Where he's like, oh, I got to rethink my life. But it's like, I wish that that stuff happens to me. I'm guessing it happens to you, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I kind of want that to happen in my life, like way like in that short time, right? Like Kermit or Gonzo or somebody always said something to him to bring him back on the rails, like within like 15 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? Wouldn't that be great if that happened to me? And it wasn't like 2 years or something.
Yeah.
So, who has the "Am I a Man" or "Am I a Muppet" thing? Is that Jason Segel singing about himself, or is there like an alternate timeline in that movie?
Yeah, I think it's him, but it could be like his like Muppet like friend in that one, whatever their name is. Yeah, you're saying because it's a similar vibe.
Similar vibe. Fozzie, hey, love to hear some new fans on the call. Love hearing Annabelle. Hopefully, we're getting back to Pittsburgh soon, and that's dope.
Yeah, Bobby had some other picks in here. We already talked about Gonzo, and they had another choice here, and we're going to hear another caller who also had that choice. So we'll talk about that character after this call.
Hi, this is Tawny Hanser from Baldwin, Missouri. My favorite Muppet is Animal. Why? Because he's crazy and he's a rock star. And that's Animal. Do I really need to explain?
Yeah, Animal right there. So yeah, Bobby mentioned Animal as well, and now Tawny. I believe a new caller. It's hard to remember. It's hard to think back. Sorry if you've called before, but we'd love to hear new folks in the mix. But Animal, I almost chose Animal too. As a drummer, I really relate to Animal. I love how Animal is pretty much just singularly focused on playing the drums and just, being a monster, right? Just going as hard as he can. You got to love the enthusiasm and energy level of Animal. It's just the best. And yeah, when he just like sits there in pants, I think that's really funny too. He just like breathes like that's I love that element of Animal too.
Completely. You could put Animal up there too, especially with Animal also did you watch all of Miss Dr. Teeth, the Disney Plus show that popped out?
Yes.
I mean, that kind of should have I wanted more Animal. Everybody did. But then I thought about it and I was probably like, "Oh, Animal really only does like one thing." So like you couldn't just have an Animal show because all Animal would do is just like and destroy stuff, whatever. It's like you need other characters that have like normal lives a little bit, and then Animal just like sits on the side basically. But Animal I think represented a lot in people. Like he just like he's rogue, he's wild, but he's never like off-putting, right? And so that's what the coolest thing about Animal is. You're not disgusted by Animal.
Yeah, he's just really intense, but it doesn't mean that you don't like him. He's always, I don't know, he's usually just making people smile with how hard he's going. So that's okay with me. So yeah, I love Animal. It's also, he's also another one who doesn't really speak, right? He just like can say his own name, right? Like a Pokemon or something. Like you can just say Animal.
It's very Pokemon-esque.
Yeah, I think that's funny for Animal, but that's a good one to have. You got to make sure you have Animal in there. He's a classic for sure. All right, let's see who we have next. Next caller.
Hi, my name is Nicole, and I'm from Las Vegas, and we loved seeing you guys when you were out here in July. It was my baby's first concert. Anywho, my favorite Muppet. Oh, gosh, we're going to start that over. All right, you can cut that out, I'm sure. My favorite Muppet is Robin, who is a lesser-known Muppet. He is Kermit's nephew. And my reason is because he sings a song called Halfway Down the Stairs. And this is the song that my husband and I sing to each other whenever something goes terribly wrong. Right. There's the baby. So whenever something happens and we're like, oh no, that's not good, we look at each other and we go, halfway down the stairs is the stair where I sit. It isn't any other stair quite like it. It isn't at the bottom. It's not at the top. Halfway down the stairs is the stair where I stop. That wasn't the correct ending, but the first part is totally right, the halfway down the stairs. So Family Guy also did a little parody of it, and it was really funny. Anywho, love y'all. Have a great day. Say bye, baby. Say bye-bye. Yeah. All right. Bye.
All right, Nicole with a deep cut there. Robin.
Nicole's got great pipes. Nicole Nicole, whether you are recording your own music or singing in a choir, if you are not doing something right now for your musical spirit, you must.
I know. That was one of the first times we've had an a cappella performance on the podcast. That was awesome. But
okay, yeah. Robin. I've seen Robin before. I remember Robin from childhood. I'm guessing Robin was also in like pulled out anytime there was like a Muppet Christmas Carol. Maybe Robin was Tiny Tim. Would I be like close to like assume that?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Is that he was in there? I'm on the Wikipedia right now, and yeah, it seems like not sure if I'm seeing that one. But he's singing with John Denver on something called Rocky Mountain Holiday.
Like Rocky Mountain High instead of saying high. You're saying holiday?
I guess so.
Oh wow.
I guess so. Yeah, performed by Jerry Nelson, and he was on the Muppet Show. It looks like, and it said Robin had the hit song in the United Kingdom with his rendition of A. Milne's, which I think is the Winnie the Pooh.
Best that's Winnie the Pooh author.
Winnie the Pooh. So he sang. I guess the A. Milne wrote "Halfway Down the Stairs," which appeared on the first Muppet Show album in 1977.
What's up?
There you go. He's introduced as Kermit's nephew. So yeah, he's a singer. He's done some songs in the past. So
Well, if he's half as good as Nicole, then that's going to be a banger.
I know. Little Robin's adorable, by the way. It's just like a mini version of Kermit. They have like the same color, but he's just tiny. He's just a tiny little Kermit.
Yeah, it's like Kermit's long, but Robin's like, because I've seen things about Kermit where it's like, his face basically is Jim Henson's hand. You know what I mean? Like where his two knuckles are, where like the eyeballs go. And I feel like Robin's the same head. The eyes are like a little like not as popping off top, but like he's just shorter. It's a cool thing. Robin the Frog.
Robin did play Tiny Tim in the Muppet Christmas Carol, so that's also how we know Muppet.
I love it.
How we know Robin.
Nicole, thanks for coming to our Vegas concerts this summer. It's always fun to play all those library shows. I'm happy your child's first concert was us, all the way up from here. All right, what we got next, Neil? What we got next?
Hey, Cuckoo, it's Kristen calling from Wrangell, Alaska. My favorite Muppet is Beaker because I love his facial expressions with his constant frowny face when he meeps. And I also think the slapstick comedy is hilarious around like all his misfortunes that always happen as a lab assistant. Glad the podcast is back. Bye.
Ooh, as a lab assistant. I guess so Kristen relates to that. I like that. Kristen from Alaska talking Beaker. Shout out to Kristen.
I feel like Kristen, thanks for calling back in. Kristen's another person that has kept the Banter Buddies love alive in the meantime. In the in-between time. Is that what we can call it?
Yeah, exactly. In the break.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why Alaska's on the tour plan, because of Kristen. You know what I mean?
True.
So, but
true. We know at least one person likes us there.
Yeah, but Beaker is another, top 5 for me, right? We kind of talked about it already, but man, just like with saying nothing, you say everything. So
yeah, and his face is hilarious, as Kristen brought up, with the eyes and then his interesting mouth mechanism, it's very just like open closed, right? There's not a lot of in between there with Beaker, again, because he's just saying meep all the time. So, and yeah, his eyes are always bulging, and he's just hilarious to look at. And usually something terrible is going on. Slapstick. Kristen said that's the way to put it. Because it's always like physical humor. Like in Muppet Vision 3D, he gets like caught in like this giant wheel, and he's just like going around and around in this big wheel and screaming the whole time. So that is definitely.
Okay, is it Professor Honeydew? I've never known his official title.
Yeah, I think it's Professor Bunsen, or it's Doctor.
Bunsen.
It's Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. Yeah.
Are we sure that Dr. Bunsen Honeydew is any good at what he does?
I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, he just looks the part, and I think by comparison with his bumbling friend Beaker, we just assume, oh yeah, this guy has it all figured out, because Beaker doesn't. But maybe they both don't, and Beaker's just the one that messes up first. That could very easily be.
That's true. Could be. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, Bunsen and Beaker is awesome, funny. Just like obviously like a science name of things that can it's like materials from the science lab. A Bunsen and a Beaker. So we love that. It's just good wordplay with the names there.
Slapstick. Slapstick is what I would say that Beaker is what I would identify as slapstick comedy more than. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't grow up watching the Three Stooges. You know what I mean? Like, I knew Laurel and Hardy more than I knew, like, the Three Stooges. I feel like my family was, like, a Laurel and Hardy fan. And these two are that, like, Penn and Teller, Laurel and Hardy, that kind of, like, duo vibe, right?
Yes.
One person zany and one person kind of keeps a straight person. I know you and I have always toggled between, like, okay, we need to, like, people have always asked, like, what are your characters? If when we're trying to make a show, they're like, what's the like Bible on Brian and what's the Bible on Neil? And it's kind of like, well, we're not really like that. Like, we're not painted into two sections like Beaker and Dr. Bunsen. You know what I mean? We kind of both like ebb and flow on who's going to be the straight person and who's going to be like the zany off the rails person. So,
yeah, they're pretty extreme over there. They go for it, which, yeah, it's easier to do when you're making puppets and making characters from scratch like that.
Is Beaker the same like puppet as Rizzo, just smaller? Like, I don't even think there's a hand up in Beaker's head. I think it's a stick.
Yeah, that's That could be. There's not a lot going on. Yeah, you don't see a lot of like arms usually with Beaker. It's kind of just like that head. He's pretty he's pretty straight and narrow, pretty skinny. So I think that's funny. But yeah, thanks for Kristen for calling in all the way from Alaska. It's a long way to do a telephone call. It's like traveling. It's a long distance there to get that call in. So shout out to Alaska for calling in. And we got a stretch of some familiar faces and voices. So get ready. Here comes another one.
What's up, guys? Travis from Riverside, aka Trey from Ray, aka Tuh from Long time no see. Glad the pod is back. Favorite Muppet of all time. Now, I'm an 80s kid, so I was a big Muppet Babies guy, of course, and when I tried to introduce it to my kids, I found that the original Muppet Babies is not on Disney+. I don't know if it's an IP issue. There was some Indiana Jones stuff, some Star Wars stuff in the originals, but that's all Disney, so I'm not sure. Anyway, they have a new Muppet Babies show that's not really as good, but there was an episode called Rizzo's Space Race, and now because of that singular episode, my favorite Muppet of all time is Rizzo the Rat. In Rizzo's Space Race, he's influenced by a TV show in which there's a bad Rizzo the Rat that calls everybody a spooneroni. And now spooneroni is my favorite, innocuous bad word. I use it when I have road rage. I use it when I burn my finger. Incorporate spooneroni in your life. It hits just as hard as any kind of other word that you can think of. So Rizzo the Rat is my favorite. Sidebar, Brian, it's been a while. How's dad life? Are you still doing composting? Have your kids discovered Pokemon? Are you out there looking for reverse hollow VMAX Gigantamax Gengars like I am now? Neil, D23 just happened. Your boy Bobby Iger, your boy Josh D'Amaro, specifically when it comes to Disneyland. What was your favorite announcement coming to Disneyland from D23? What's one thing that they left out that you wish they were going to do to Disneyland? Trader Joe's, still going there. My favorite Trader Joe's item currently, gotta be that blueberry goat chevre cheese. Hit that up. Other than that, good to see you guys again. Talk to you later. Bye.
Oh boy,
absolute legend. Just a legend has returned, just from like the darkness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the way from Riverside. Trey from Ray. All right, we're coming up with new nicknames. It's all good. Sometimes you got to give yourself a nickname. It's okay.
I just want Travis to know that we probably could make Banter Buddies t-shirts, but they wouldn't sell. We would just say, hey, I'm Travis from Riverside, and then there'd be a little like Banter Buddies logo in the corner, and then that actually would sell.
That would be the one.
We know it.
Wow,
look at those questions,
man. Yeah, Travis doesn't just answer the question that we provide. He's very into making the show longer and asking us questions. So that's how it goes sometimes. But
what's this Rizzo Space Race? Have you seen this Rizzo Space Race?
No, Rizzo Space Race. It's I guess it's in the new Muppet Babies, right? It's an episode of the new Muppet Babies. So gotta check that out. I definitely grew up with Muppet Babies as well. I think we have another caller later on in the program that will reference Muppet Babies, and I think actually that was probably like the first like Muppets thing I saw, kind of in the early '90s as like a kindergartner or whatever. It's first grader in that sort of range, and yeah, loved the afternoon cartoons and Muppet Babies was a big one. And so, yeah, definitely got into the characters that way. I remember having some of the, like McDonald's had like toys and like plush and stuff. Yeah, McDonald's had like these little plush that I remember that were Muppet Babies. And yeah, lots of Muppet Babies love Grump. Did you watch Muppet Babies, Brian, or was that?
I totally watched Muppet Babies. Yeah. I totally had those Muppet Babies McDonald's toys because my mom worked the drive-through at McDonald's, so we got every toy of everything.
Amazing. And
she worked there. She worked at McDonald's for like a long time, like maybe like 8 to 10 years, possibly.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm looking this up here. This is in the new Muppet Babies. It's in the new vibe of like Spidey and His Amazing Friends, that like 3D
cool
animated, but it's like but it's not like full like on like Pixar Incredibles where like their hair looks perfect in the water or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not like Luca or something like that. And I'm seeing this, and so Rizzo, he's cute, but he's the same size as everybody else. You know what I mean? Because he's a baby. It's like when they shrink him down. So It's like when they shrink a Pokemon down to like make them like all little, and it's like you guys, everybody knows that like, you know, Charmander is way taller than like, you know, Wartortoise or something, but you know that gets taken out when you have to shrink everybody down to like 1 inch. So
yeah, Rizzo's wonderful. I love Rizzo's like New York accent, and just sort of like how he talks and how he's like a smart aleck. Also, again, beyond as Travis just mentioned, I love the Disney parks and Muppet Vision 3D. Keep referencing it, but across from Muppet Vision 3D in the Muppet Courtyard is Pizza Rizzo, a pizza spot where you put on by Rizzo the Rat. So it's not known as good pizza, but you can get Rizzo's Pizza next time you're at Disney World at Hollywood Studios. Check out the show and then go across there and keep the theme going and enjoy Rizzo's pizzeria spot. So,
have you ever eaten pizza there? I feel like it's always closed whenever I walk by.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's bad in general, but it's not like bad for theme parks necessarily. So if you're grading it on a curve, it does the trick. And it's got lots of fun details and like bulletin boards with cool stuff to look at and jokes and all that. So it still carries over all the Muppet humor, even if the food isn't the best thing you can get in the park. So yeah, definitely check that out.
Spooneroni, that's what I say.
Spooneroni.
How would Rizzo say it? Rizzo would be like Spooneroni. No, I can't even do.
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
got the high
I can't
pitch.
even do.
Yeah, he's got the high pitch, but then he's got kind of like he's got like the little like wise guy.
Yeah,
he's got like the gangster sort of like old New York gangster talk as a tiny rat. As far as some of other things that Travis brought up, I went to D23. That was a great time. First time going to the big convention, the big Disney convention out here in Anaheim, and I'm really excited they're bringing Avatar to Disney California Adventure. There weren't a lot of announcements for Disneyland proper, but there were a lot of announcements for DCA. So big Avatar nerd, obviously, and they're bringing a whole new land to Disney California Adventure. So really excited about that. Brian, how's the compost? How's the Pokemon?
Compost is still rocking. It's funny, we have this like elephant ear plant that I've had for maybe like 8 years now that I've grown. I bought. It's like
you bring it inside, right? That's the one you bring inside.
Yeah, I bring inside to grow, but it got too big for the pot, and then my wife was like, it died, and so I was like, oh, it's over. I'm just gonna stop doing this. She's like, just ease up. This plant just is trying to tell us that it's like needs some more space. So she split it into 6 pieces.
Oh.
And then we planted it just to like see for the next year, and all 6 have come back bigger than they've ever come back before. But we thought there was one dead piece, so we threw it in the compost, and that has come alive, and that is the biggest elephant ear plant of them all. We're just like, we've let this one of our compost bins just become like a planter, and so one of the leaves is actually like 3 feet by 3 feet, and so it's fun. So the compost bin is rocking. My city finally is doing their own city compost, so I have a place to put all like the to-go containers.
Nice.
And my kids, they do like Pokemon. They are into Pokemon. They do like have Pokemon cards, and like they have a binder that looks like a Pokeball that my brother's got them. But they've been into Legos, and they've been into Gravity Falls, and they've been into Star Wars the most because of the new like Young Jedi show. So I think I'm doing an okay job as a dad. Dad life's going good. I feel like I'm finally hitting my stride, knowing that my kids like want to like talk about Star Wars, you know. So that's all I got, and that they know that the child is named Grogu, and they don't say Baby Yoda. I feel like I'm winning a little bit, right?
Absolutely, that's great. They're loving all the right stuff, I think, and they're being supplied with some amazing things. So I love it. I love to hear about the new stuff that they're into. So there you go, Travis. All right,
Travis, thanks for calling in. Always being a gem.
Thank you, Travis. Shout out to the Inland Empire. That's what us Californians call that area of the state.
For real, Riverside, the Inland Empire,
the Inland Empire, the IE. So yeah, we've got a next section here where we're going to talk about some non-Muppets. These are Jim Henson creations. Some Sesame Street people, some other things. I'm going to break this up into 2 sections. So we're going to do 2 calls and then 3. So here's our next 2 callers.
Hey, Cuckoo. It's BJ calling from Dallas. Boy, it's been so long that I almost forgot how to do this. So, what's my favorite Muppet? Well, mine are all in the realm of Sesame Street, like Oscar and Grover. But I'm going to go with Cookie Monster. And the only reason why I like him is because I've always been entertained by the way he eats the cookies. I know if I were to eat cookies that way, it's going everywhere but my stomach, and that's just wasteful. But I feel like he can get away with it because, well, he's a Cookie Monster. So I'm good with it. It just makes sense. So that's my answer. Bye.
Yo, Brian and Neil. Kelly from St. Paul. Muppets. Yeah, man. You know, I really want to talk about Animal because I'm a drummer, but I'm sure you guys are going to talk about Animal because, like, how could you not? Animal's great. But I do want to talk about one character that is one of my favorites, and it is actually from Muppet Babies, and it's Nanny. Nanny, the non-Muppet of the bunch, I think. It's hard to tell. They never show her face. You know, she's going to go down in history as one of the greatest faceless characters on TV, right up there with Charlie from Charlie's Angels and, Wilson from Home Improvement. I guess you see his face, just not his mouth. Anyway, Nanny, she has the most cush job ever. She just chills out all day, pops in, checks on the Muppets every once in a while. She's got the best sock game in town. Yeah, I'm going with Nanny. Nanny's my favorite. All right, guys, welcome back. So excited. Peace.
All right, there we go. BJ and Kelly, two other legends. We're getting the gang back together, everybody. This return to Banter Buddies is as much about us as it is these callers who are always on point, always coming in with the goods. So shout out to them. Brian, where do we start here?
Well, first let's just talk about Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster is legit, like, I would say the face of the franchise just as much as like Elmo or Big Bird is at this current moment. I think when HBO bought Sesame Street and kind of they were like, hey, let's lean this machine up a little bit. We saw way less FaceTime of Bert and Ernie. We saw Elmo and Abby coming to like the top. They brought in like Abby's little brother, and we really saw like that Grover, Cookie Monster, Big Bird, Abby and Elmo, and Oscar were like the face of the franchise. But you can just show anybody in the world Cookie Monster and they're like, I know what that is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. it's just so iconic, and the eyes and yeah, just again another one that just is like no, actually, I was going to say that Cookie Monster only says his name, but he can say other things, right? He doesn't
totally talks, totally
C
coherent.
Is for Cookie, right? He can sing the whole song.
Cookie Monster is totally coherent. Cookie Monster, I've seen a lot of Sesame Street in the past like 5 years, but Cookie Monster has empathy for being like destructive a little bit, which is interesting. Like I didn't ever catch that up. I just thought like that Cookie Monster came in as like a wrecking ball, but Cookie Monster's only a wrecking ball like the end of the little scene they're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's always like nom, 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 and they cut to like 1, 2, like a song, whatever, about counting or something like that. So Cookie Monster's sweet, and especially like speaking about my favorite character, Gonger, like the new Monster Foodie cookie truck, like just shows like how strong Cookie Monster is as like a solo character. So I'm here for it. Thanks, BJ. Thanks, Kelly, on that one.
Yeah, Cookie Monster and Grover are both Frank Oz Frank Oz stopped doing a lot of these characters like in the 2000s, 2010s era, but Frank Oz, from the beginning, from 1969, he was doing Cookie Monster. From 1970, he was doing Grover, and then the late Carol Spinney was Oscar the Grouch. From 69 until their passing in 2018. So I always want to shout out the legends who are behind all these amazing characters as well. Such talented performers, and people who just have incredible jobs and just are just amazing at what they do. So I always want to say who they are.
I want to say as a dad, like my kids definitely know that like these characters are coming to life like through like a puppeteer, and it has not changed any magic at all. Like we were at
yeah.
we were at the state fair, and my youngest, well, both my kids like Daniel Tiger, but my oldest is now too cool for it. And it was like a 6'2" human inside of a giant Daniel Tiger costume.
Wow.
But like my youngest was just knew that there was a person in there, but the magic is still alive. So like, don't worry about shouting out the creators of these things around your kids. You know, I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Kelly talking animal. Yeah, we touched on animal. And that's awesome. Yep, Kelly and I have that in common. Both drummers. That's why we see eye to eye on a lot of things. And then also, but then very controversial pick here. I mean, Nanny, the animated character. I mean, I don't think Nanny has really ever been kind of seen beyond just like the legs. Yeah, when I think about Nanny, I think about the socks. That's what he said. Shout out to the sock game or whatever. Love the Wilson from Home Improvement reference. That's funny. But yeah, that's a hot take right there, Kelly. Talking about the sort of non-speaking, non-Muppet Babies character of Muppet Babies.
So I don't really remember this character. I need to go back and watch it, but. Did Kelly say that Nanny was going to be the best, not the faceless character of all time, or is the best alongside like Wilson and Charlie and stuff like that?
It says just going down in history as one of the greatest.
As one of, okay. Yeah. So it's still, nothing got ruined.
That's right.
That's rocking. Hey, I do want to say as a drummer, Kelly has reached out and Kelly's steel drum band played by near my home. And so we came and my family came out and watched Kelly's Steel Drum Band, and they rocked it. They do like a lot of covers, and it's really fun. It kept it moving. So shout out to that
amazing.
drum band.
Shout out to Kelly. We got 3 more sort of non-Muppet Muppets here.
Can I give Kelly one more shout out, or are we taking this pod too long? Okay.
No.
We were fortunate enough to play. We got to play our home cool venue, First Avenue, and Kelly was in the crowd. And normally when we say, hey, we're going to play Popsico, it's like when people like finally have a pulse and they come alive, right? Where they haven't liked any of our other songs. Yeah. And they're like, oh, this is the only song I came for. But normally there's like a huge like pile of hands that go up when we say like we need a helper. And First Avenue, it was like the biggest crowd we've played to, and nobody raised their hand except for Kelly. And I was like, this is where we're going. So Kelly saved the day. Came up, even brought a stuffed cat. So I just want to say shout out, Kelly. Thank you for doing that in that moment we needed you very bad. All right, let's keep it moving.
Hey, Brian and Neil, welcome back. I miss this podcast a lot. This is Wendy from New York, and my favorite Muppet is Bear from Bear in the Big Blue House, one of the best Jim Henson productions, in my opinion. And Bear is a full-sized Muppet, and I like him because he's super friendly and kind, and he's got a great house. Bye.
Hi, my favorite Muppet is Mr. Snuffleupagus. I love that his best friend is Big Bird, and I love that he was Big Bird's like imaginary friend in the beginning, and then everybody saw him and loved him, and I think that he gets overlooked a lot. He's big, beautiful, and furry. My name is Lauren, and I'm from Ohio. Love you guys. Bye.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I'm from Irvine, California. And my favorite Muppet is probably Count Von Count, or the Count Dracula, because he taught me basic fundamental math skills that I still use in my academic endeavors today. Even though I don't know how to do basic math, I know what he taught me. And he's gotten me through several years of math, all throughout my education. So this one goes out to Count Dracula. I love you. And I love you, Cuckoo Kangaroo. You're my favorite thing in the world. More.
All right. Shout out to those callers right there. Starting with the legend, Wendy, Brian. Wendy is called into the podcast.
This is really happening. That's just what we needed to do. Like we needed to like leave after 2 full years, and that's what we needed for Wendy to call in. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a running joke for a long time, and now it's happened, and we're going to have to figure out a different running joke.
I know. Wendy just messed up the pod. It's over, right?
Yeah,
Jeez,
we don't need to do more.
It's all done.
This is it.
Wendy has been in the crowd, I think, of like every East Coast and then some Texas shows that we've done, and I feel like I always reference Wendy, and Neil's like, you should stop doing that because
by reference you mean shout out from the stage, like you say, you talk to her from the stage.
I know, and I know that I don't like it when my wife always says like, why do you do that? Because you despise it when people do it to you. And I was like, I don't know, I can't help myself. I just want to share the love, and it goes there. Okay, let's talk Big Blue House, because I did not have cable growing up, and this is why like Disney Plus I think is a cool thing, but I guess you could say it has the same, gatekeeping effects that PBS didn't have. But I didn't get to watch this show, so I know exactly who Big Bear is. I've seen like Big Bear like live, I think at a parade or something like that, but I don't know anything about the show. Did you get to watch this show?
No, I never really did, and I was about to say that it sort of maybe was like beyond my time, but it's on the Wikipedia it says it debuted in 1997 and ran until 2006. So, I guess at that point I was 12 in 1997. So maybe that's a little too old. It's kind of more of a preschool show maybe, but I don't know. This is obviously with anything Muppets or Sesame Street, and it's for everybody. It's that if it succeeds, it works for everybody. But so I think it's just kind of a blind spot for me, right, more than anything else. But so yeah, I know of Bear in the Big Blue House, and how he's a big like walk around Muppet or whatever. But yeah, I never really don't really have a lot of knowledge of the show.
If Wendy's reaching out like this, then we got to check out this show. That's basically it.
True.
Like, this is also a blind spot it comes into. Like, you and I were in like 9th grade at this time. You know what I mean? So we weren't checking this out. It's the same way that I don't know Blue's Clues either. Like, I feel like my younger siblings know Blue's Clues. They know more of that, like, we just missed it. You know what I mean? That's why I like the Jonas Brothers now, but I didn't have an affinity for them. They came in that time when we were like on to, even crazier stuff like Boxcar Racer and Coldplay,
Exactly. So yeah, that's a good one though, Wendy. We'll have to check that out. Thanks for the recommendation there. And then Lauren talking about Snuffy. I guess I've never heard of him referred to as Mr. Snuffleupagus, but
that's full name.
Shows how much I know about Sesame Street, and I definitely didn't know that he started off as Big Bird's imaginary friend. That is news to me as well. That's really cool.
I feel like I bought a bunch of books and like those, when the 50th came out, maybe like 4 years ago, they had a big push on like Bomba socks, and like at CVS you could get like a Learn the History of Sesame Street book that came out by like probably Time Magazine or something like that. I bought that. First of all, I didn't know that. I think Snuffy, they were trying to like help kids with divorce, and so Snuffy had like some kind of divorce thing. But then I also did not know about because you would have had to like watch it in chronological order. I didn't know that there was this big reveal of Snuffy being imaginary to the humans on there, like Susan and who are some of the Susan, Maria, anyways, that crew,
the human performers,
Bob, the human performers didn't know that Snuffy was invisible. That's so cool. Snuffy's up in my top 10, top 5.
Yeah, awesome. Much like Bird, just like an awesome, like huge costume, right? Just like an amazing, feat of puppeteering and sort of walk around costume. They're both just huge, and there's a lot going on, I believe, inside of all that to make those characters come to life. So that's
and
really
remember,
cool.
We found out that the puppeteer that does Snuffy is the original person named Marty or something like that, but also does the biggest character on Sesame Street, and then also does the smallest character. Does 2 characters. Does Slimy, Oscar's worm friend. Is it Slimy or Wormy? I can't remember.
No, it's Slimy. I'm on the page here. Yeah, Martin
Slimy
P. Robinson.
Oh, there we go. And then also does Snuffy too. What a cool like thing a feather in your cap. You know what I mean? So
nice.
That's rocking.
Nice.
Lauren, I'm happy Lauren called in from Ohio, and then Taylor we had from Irvine.
Oh, the Count. We love the Count. What a great character. Count Von Count is a new name to me. I just thought he was the Count or Count Dracula or whatever. Count Von Count is such a funny name. So yeah, that's awesome, and just the voice and saying the numbers. I mean, it's so simple, right? Like a lot of that's a lot of the beauty of the Muppets or Jim Henson creations is the simplicity, and they all kind of just like do one thing well or do have like one kind of joke or whatever. But then it's about how they come together and interact with each other that really makes them sing, right? You rarely ever see just like one Muppet hanging out or are doing their thing. It's about them collaborating or them performing with somebody else that kind of brings everything out. So yeah, the Count is awesome. I know you got a lot of love for Count, Brian.
I got so much love for Count, and there's so many things I didn't know. Like, it's funny that we said this, like, hey, what's your favorite Muppet? Because I feel like you and I have been, this is probably maybe our first question to each other when we met in 2004 at college. You know what I mean? I feel like I ask this to people to find out what their barometer, if I'm going to be their friend or not. You know what I mean? If they're just like, if they even have any immediate answer, it's like we're in the ballpark of like, we can at least chit chat for 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but our friend JD, always his favorite Muppet or Sesame Street character is the Magician. Is it Marcus the Magician or something?
Oh, I don't
have any recollection of that, but through all this 50th stuff, me like watching multiple like Sesame Street documentaries and stuff, I found out that it is the same like body. So it looks just like a purple circle as a head.
Yeah.
And then also my father-in-law's favorite character is Count Von Count, and Count Von Count in the 70s or 80s or whatever has a whole Halloween album.
Oh, funny. So we gotta look.
You gotta check it out. One Ringy Dingy. There's like a lot of hits there.
Nice. There you go. We got a link to that as well. The Count. Link to the Count album on streaming services. There you go. All right. Shout out to all of our callers. We got them in. Thanks for calling, everybody. And that means a lot to us. And yeah, we're going to do a bunch of these episodes. So don't be shy. We're going to keep doing it. And yeah, a lot of times, if you're new to the podcast, you'll know that a lot of the same voices come up. So don't worry. It's not like a limit of like, oh, I called last week. So keep the calls coming in because hey, in 2 weeks we're doing another episode. And the prompt on that one's going to be, what was the most embarrassing moment of your life? So yeah, we're going to need you to look back and think of a time when you dropped your tray in the lunchroom, or I don't know, something like that, whatever it was, where you were super embarrassed. Hopefully you can relive it, and hopefully you're past it now. You know, you've worked through that, and you can say it on a podcast that 150 people listen to. So yeah, please give us a call with the most embarrassing moment of your life.
Neil,
612-440-5724 is that number.
Neil, we at least get maybe like 280. Don't sell it short.
Okay, you're right. And especially with the reboot of the show, we're gonna double or triple that number.
This is definitely going to like 345 monthly listeners, no doubt. Okay, wait, and you got to remember your phone number if you have it saved in your phone. Because we did not have foresight, our Google voicemail got canceled on us, and we have to get a new phone number. So
yeah, 612-440-5724. Give it a call. What was the most embarrassing moment of your life?
Oh, no, Neil.
No. Yeah, we're going to have to dig deep and think of some. You're going to tune in next time to hear.
Are we going to get raw here? Are we going to get really raw?
Yeah, right. There's no limit to that. So we'll see what we come up with. If you're new to this podcast, we don't just do the main segment. We also have little other segments that come at the end of the show. So let's do those right now. We have one called Recommendations. All right, recommendations. We have things to tell you about that we like. I'm going to get us started off this week. Brian, I've been getting a little bit more into escape rooms. I went to an escape room convention conference called Recon recently. And while I've only done a couple escape rooms in my life, there was one I did in Phoenix last January that just opened my mind up to what escape rooms could be. I had formerly only done the sort of basic one that exists in the Mall of America. No shade there, but it was, just some puzzles and some light theming. But there's a whole world of really in-depth, immersive, story-driven escape rooms that are out there. So I want to kind of get more into those. And, well, it'd be kind of weird to, just talk about one escape room here. We have listeners all over the place. So instead, I would like to recommend an app that will help you find the best escape rooms in your area, or maybe if you're going on vacation or traveling to see somebody, you could do that together. The app's called Morty, M-O-R-T-Y, and it's just it's kind of like Yelp for escape rooms. What's nice about it is, people who are really into this stuff can track their escape rooms and leave reviews. You can find out what the best ones are, if it's like scary or not. There's like a tag for that. That's very important for Brian and I, two scaredy cats. We don't want to go into the ones that have jump scares in them and stuff, so it'll tell you all that ahead of time. And it's just something that I want to get more into, and I think is really cool. And also, a lot of escape rooms these days, you can go in as like 2-person teams or 3-person teams, so you don't necessarily have to have like 6 of your best friends with you. So yeah, check out Morty and go see some escape rooms. There's some cool stuff out there.
Right on. Yeah. Hey, you think our friend from New Jersey uses that app?
Oh yes, I know. I know that our we played a show a few years ago in New Jersey, and a friend of ours picked us up, and we didn't know him at the time. It's Andrew. It's Andrew, yep. And we were just chatting. And he was like, "I'm into escape rooms," and at the time, this was probably like 2019 or something like that, and we were like, no one's ever said that before. That's a really niche thing to be into. And since then, I've kind of gotten more into that world, and escape rooms are growing. There's more and more every year, and they're getting crazier and more amazing by the year. So, yeah, our friend Andrew kind of tipped us off into this emerging world. So there you go. Check out Morty and go play an escape room. It's fun.
Would you say that Phoenix one is your favorite one you've been to, the one that was paired with the ice cream shop?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a lot of fun. It was just 2 different. I think they have 3 rooms in there now. So that's what's cool about a lot of these places. They're like a business, but then there's multiple. There's multiple like rooms or games that you can play in each of them. So this one was called the Nemesis Club, and really blew me away. So if you're anywhere near Phoenix, go play the Nemesis Club.
Go
Brian,
check it.
What's your recommendation for this episode of Banter Buddies?
Okay, I got 2 kids, been doing a lot of stuff in the 2 years that it's been off, so I got a good, healthy list of things. I'm going to first start off with a recommendation of a graphic novel, probably around like the 3rd or 4th grade reading age and maybe appropriateness, but my 1st grader and my preschooler loved it when I read it to him. It's called Barb the Berserker.
That's a great name.
It's kind of like a mythical world, and Barb is born into this spot where monsters and humans, they battle each other. And she was kind of like born into this group of people who are the most infamous battlers of, monsters, and they're called the Berserkers or Zerkers. And so it goes as Barb loses her mom into a portal, and some stuff happens where she has to forge a new friendship. It's 3 graphic novels, and I think the biggest thing I like about it is how it reads. Sometimes graphic novels or kids' books have a mixing of like text and like style that's supposed to go in. Like I can't handle if somebody like has writing that on the bottom and then they randomly add like a character with like a little voice bubble, right? Whereas this one just like flows. I felt like I thought this was a breeze to like read through it. Really, it like flowed well. The cadence was good. I don't like books also sometimes that have like tons of text on one page and then you turn the page and it's like one speech bubble. This one had a good pacing too. So if it kind of is like mystical, there's nothing scary about it, but there's monsters in there, so it helps my little scaredy cat kids that are just like me, right? They like say they're like scary stuff, but they actually can't handle squat. And so it threads that needle. Neil, I think you would even like reading this.
Wow.
Like, I think you would knock it out in a night. And you just kind of want to get to the bottom. Good characters.
Yeah, I like the art style. It looks really cool. I like how Barb's hair is like just a mess, like a scribbly mess.
Barb is so cool. Barb is awesome. So
on the Google reviews, it says She-Ra meets How to Train Your Dragon. She-Ra is like the He-Man, like Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, totally.
Because it looks like she's got like a big sword, like a big crystal sword or whatever.
You'll find out about that when you read it.
It says in the side-splitting graphic novel about a young berserker who has to rescue her fellow warriors from the evil witch villain. So
oh, look at this. On the publisher's website, they call it Moana meets Dogman.
Okay.
Dave Pilkey's Dogman, which
nice.
It's rocking. And I kind of checked it out. I think most libraries have all 3. If not, they definitely have the first one, and then they can probably source you the third one. So don't worry about buying this bad boy. Just get it from your library with a little card.
There it is. Recommendations. We'll do this every episode. Come with something that you might like.
Boom.
To the podcast. All right. Time to have some fun. We like to play a game. Usually I am the game master and Brian is the contestant, trying to show what he knows. And today, sometimes we have some games that can be played over any sort of episode, name that tune or, some trivia or something. But today I made up a custom game called Muppet or Not. And Brian, I'm going to give you a name of a character, and you have to tell me if that is a Muppet or not a Muppet. Are you ready for number one?
Oh, I'm happy. Yes, I'm ready.
All right, number one, Teddy. Is Teddy a Muppet? Muppet or not?
Not Muppet.
Oh, you got it. Try to throw in one that sounded like a Muppet at the beginning, but you're right. That is not a Muppet. Okay, next one here, Sweetums. Sweetums, a Muppet or not a Muppet?
Sweetums is a Muppet. It's a little bunny, right?
Nope, Sweetums is a Muppet. You got it correct, but Sweetums is massive. He's a big walk-around guy who has this big
Sweetums
open jaw. He was like the original massive Muppet. He was in the Muppet Show. He, again, going back to Muppet Vision 3D, he walks out into the crowd at one point. Sweetums is a big ogre guy.
What's the name of the little bunny Muppet that leads that has the issue in
Bean Bunny.
Bean. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Sweetums is
Bunny.
awesome.
Sweetums is amazing. All right, next one, Brian. Pops. Muppet or not? Pops.
Gonna say not a Muppet.
Sorry, Pops is an elderly doorman at the Muppet Theater in the Muppet Show.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were gonna say Pops was like a Fraggle Rock or something.
It's kind of a deep cut. It says he greeted the week's guest star in every episode of the 5th season.
Oh, yes, totally. I watched this because we tried to watch Muppet Show on first of all, it comes up with the Disney Plus the disclaimer, but we watched the Paul Simon one, and Pops, he sits in the back. He's like that security guard, just you check in.
That's
every
right.
guest kind of chats with him. Dope.
All right, next one, Brian. Constantine, Muppet or not?
Let's say yes.
You're right. Yes, Constantine. He's a new Muppet though. He is an evil Russian frog, considered to be the world's most dangerous frog, and he's in Muppets Most Wanted, which is a more recent.
That was the
Muppet
Tina Fey
film.
one, right?
Yes.
And Ricky
he's
Gervais. I never watched that. Should I watch it?
I don't think I've seen that full one either. But I know Constantine because he has the cloak over his eyes. He's Kermit with the cloak. You've seen maybe the meme.
You've seen the meme, the Jedi meme or something.
That's right. He's the evil Kermit, basically. All right, next one here, Brian. Foo-Foo, Muppet or not? Foo-Foo.
We're gonna say not Muppet.
Sorry, Brian. Foo-Foo is Miss Piggy's dog. It's this little, tiny little, white little, just mop of nothing. That is Miss Piggy's dog. I don't think it's been. I don't think Foo-Foo has appeared in much, but Foo-Foo is
I love it.
real. All right, next one. Waldo. Is Waldo a Muppet?
Waldo's not a Muppet.
Waldo is barely a Muppet. I'm gonna say you're incorrect though, because Waldo is the computer-generated Muppet that appears in Muppet Vision 3D and apparently the Jim Henson Hour. I didn't know that he was also in the Jim Henson Hour, but it's kind of cheating because
I see it.
He's
I
not
see
an
it now.
actual puppet. He's He's like a 3D graphic puppet that sort of was
he causes terror.
Yeah, he kind of is a doofus, and he kind of accidentally shuts down the whole film at one point, and he's just trying to do his best. But that's kind of a trick question because he's not like a traditional Muppet. He's not even in real life at all, right? He's only computer generated. But Jim Henson made him. It was the last show that Jim Henson ever directed was Muppet Vision 3D. So he gave the okie dokie to Waldo. All right, last one here, Brian. Muppet or not? Brian O'Neill.
Ooh, gonna say yes. Too good to not be.
No, Brian, those are just both of our names put together. Brian O'Neill.
Oh,
it's not a
my
Muppet. Sorry about that one. Not a Muppet. Brian O'Neill, but it could be. Again, there's so many Muppets. There's Muppets that just have normal names that you wouldn't think of. Hey, not every Muppet has to have some crazy stage name. Just Tim Johnson could be a Muppet.
Tim Johnson would be a great Muppet.
So there you go. That's our game. Hopefully you fared as well or better than Brian did in that game. And we got one more segment. It's called New with Koo. New with Koo is where we tell you what's up lately with us. But we haven't done this show in 2 years, Brian. So we got a lot of New with Koo to catch up on.
Yeah, the biggest thing we want to talk about is our TV show, Oh Yeah, Heck Yeah. That's kind of one of the biggest reasons we saw, hey, are we going to try to pull this TV show off? Then we got to clear the table of everything. We got rid of all the antics, we slowed down on making DUMB TikTok videos, and we made after shows I couldn't make Neil do a new TikTok dance. I had to be like, we got to talk about this TV show. So there's 5 episodes. It's on our YouTube channel. People have said we needed to make a TV show forever, and we've pitched one. We've done the dance, and finally we're like, you know what? We're going to make it ourselves, and then we'll see. We'll pitch it. We'll see if there's an audience for it. We'll see what's up, and we're going to make a season 2. It might be a little while before it comes out, but we're writing songs right now. That's what's happening, baby. So
yeah, we had a good
check it
time
out.
making Oh Yeah Heck Yeah with our friends the Beaudries and a whole bunch of other fun people to collaborate with, mostly in Minnesota. But yeah, every episode has a new song in it, and then it's surrounded by other sketches and other non-music things. It's kind of our first time doing non-music elements, especially for video and stuff. So go check out Oh Yeah Heck Yeah. There's 5 episodes, and they're all about 10 minutes each. So something different, but familiar if you like what we normally do. Especially if you're listening to this podcast. Hopefully you already know about it, but maybe you don't. So go watch it. Tell your friends about it. Also, we're still playing shows. We're doing shows all the time. Pretty much every weekend we're out there playing shows. So here as we record this in the late summer, early fall of 2024, we got a lot more shows coming up the rest of this year. And then the big news, very exciting for us, we get to go to Australia for the first time ever. Coming up at the very end of January, first weekend of February, playing 3 shows in Australia. So if you're in Australia or you know anybody who is, let them know. We're going to be there playing all ages shows. Come on out.
We're going to hang out with the Smith Street Boys.
Yeah, we're going to do all that. We're going to see the sights. We're going to see that big opera house in Sydney and see the animals and whatever else happens in Australia. We're going to figure it out. So yeah, that's kind of what's new with us. Maybe we'll get into some more specific things in future episodes. We might figure out what else we can talk about that's new with us. But we've also updated you on our lives a little bit throughout this episode. Shout out to Travis for prompting us on those. So yeah, anything else to talk about, Brian, for New with Koo or anything else?
I mean, I could go on for 10 hours. I feel like we have to remember the people that I chug so much water to try to make sure that I can have a clear voice and stay focused for almost maybe like an hour and 45 minutes. And so if you ever hear on the end of Banter Buddies that I get a little like skittish or whatever, it's because I have to pee. And if ever like there's like all of a sudden you hear like, wow, Brian got back into the game during the last 10 minutes of the pod, it's because we paused it. I went and peed and we came back and I was renewed. So I have so many things to say, but I do have to kind of pee, so I want to wrap this bad boy up.
It's okay. There's plenty more episodes to come after
I know.
this.
I also have to remind myself that, like, you got to leave a little in the tank, Brian. You know what I mean? Let's go.
That's right. We want to say thank you to our friend Neil Z for making our theme song, and Wampa Stampa Matthew for doing the custom art every week that you'll see promoted alongside this episode. Don't forget to call in 612-440-5724. What was the most embarrassing moment of your life? Don't be afraid. We're all friends here. You can say embarrassing things. It happened a long time ago. It's all good. But yeah, with that, we'll wrap up episode 51 of Banter Buddies. We are back. Tell your friends. And we'll come back in 2 weeks with a whole another episode. This was a lot of fun. Talk to you next time, Brian. Bye.
Bye, Neil.
Hey guys, this is Suzanne calling from Toronto. I don't know if this is going to make the cutoff, but I am going to give it a shot. First of all, I want to say thank you for bringing back Banter Buddies. I am so thrilled, and I'm so looking forward to listening to the next few episodes. I have been listening to old episodes just to keep me company while I'm working, but I'm looking forward to some new content, so thank you again. But on the Muppets question, it's been a while since I watched the Muppets. So I don't know if I have that much to say on it, but I do remember watching it as a kid with my family, probably on a Saturday night. And I probably should have looked up the names of these characters before I called, but I really like those 2 old guys that sat in the balcony. They were cheeky and sarcastic, and I really appreciate
that sense of humor. But if I am allowed to add Sesame Street characters into this, I would also include Super Grover. So Super Grover is so bad at saving the day that is actually quite funny. So yeah, for me it would be those two old guys and Super Grover as my favorite Muppets. And that's kind of all I have to say on the Muppets thing. But I do have one other quick question for you, and it is this. So, you're super busy with, oh yeah, heck yeah, and Banter Buddies and your tours and your videos. But I'm curious to know, which of those things that you work on do you find the most fulfilling? Which, gives you the most energy at the end of the day? That's about it for me. Thanks again for bringing back Banter Buddies. I'm looking forward to listening to it, and I can't wait to see you guys when you are in Toronto next. All right, take care. Bye. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Zach, and I'm calling from Henderson, Nevada. I guess as far as the music goes in the Muppets, my favorite would be Kermit the Frog, which is probably kind of an easy answer, but I don't know. I think just his voice singing, it kind of warms the heart. Obviously, there's the Rainbow Connection. There's a couple Christmas albums. I like the songs where he's singing. But outside of the music, I'm going to have to go with Statler and Waldorf. Those are the old guys that sit in the balcony and heckle the performers. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but that whole shtick is hilarious to me. Two old guys who hate everything except sitting around making fun of stuff, cracking each other up. That just really tickles me. So, hey, glad you guys have brought the podcast back. I look forward to hearing what you're doing with it this time around.